Hey, welcome to my Databot channel. Today I'm going to show you how to use your Databots to code music. It's a great way to get students engaged in coding and a great way to introduce coding, frankly. So without much further ado, let's get cracking. First of all, you'll need to go to a browser and search microblocks. And it should be the first result. Now, this is a good chance to say if you haven't converted your Databot over from a Visi mode to a coding machine, you'll want to do that now. I have a video in my channel. Check that out and go watch that and convert it over to a coding machine before you do this video, okay? And again, I like using this download version in Microblocks. It uses a pilot version that's a little more, it has more features to it, and I like it more. So, all right. Run pilot in browser. You'll notice that I have just a basic library here. I don't even have anything about Databot. So to get connected to it, or to have a Databot library, I'll want to connect to it. So connect. With my students, I make them use USB connections. That way we're not searching for the right USB name and all that. But for today, and with you, I'm just going to use BLE because it's convenient and easy to connect to. So I often the way I like to start this whole thing is to have the Databot off, and then when I turn on the Databot, it'll appear. And I've had some really good luck connecting it that way. Here's what we're going to actually play. I wrote the code already just to make sure I knew what I was doing, but when you turn it on, you can hear Ode to Joy, and that's what we're going to code today. So here it is. I'm going to connect to it. And I'm not going to update today. I played with it earlier and it works fine. So, you can keep these up to date as much as you want. I would recommend having students say no every single time that they want, Microblocks wants to update their version. I've run into some problems where kids don't know what they're doing and cause some issues. So nothing that you can't undo. It's just, it slows them down. Just say no. I like managing all that stuff anyway in my classroom, dealing with the updates and stuff. All right, now you can see as it's connecting, it automatically selected the basic library for Databots, but you can do so much more than just this basic library. To make sure it's working, I like to sometimes start off and change the color of the LEDs to red or blue or green or yellow or whatever you want. And to do that, you can just click on it, change the color, and then click on it like that. And you can see in the window there that it changed the LEDs to blue. All right. Now, we're going to need a couple libraries for this. We're going to go to Add Library. We're going to go and find Tone. It's at the very bottom. And feel free to pause this video at any time, if I'm going too fast. So Tone. And this will give us all our musical notes. And you can even play frequencies. I've never done it much, but yeah, kind of fun. And then we're going to need one more library called Rhythm. It's under Sound. And then Rhythm. And this one's great because it gives you the capability to set up a tempo, so beats per minute, as well as a time signature, and then the actual pictures of the different lengths of notes. So it's really handy. All right, let's get going. First of all, you want to tell your computer, tell the Databot where the start of the program is, because they're kind of silly, dumb machines. They don't know. So we say start here. Then we'll want to set up our time signature so we know how fast this music is being played. So I'm just going to leave it at 120. If you look at our music, it's right here. It's 4/4 time, so I'm going to leave that alone. I'm noticing that we have one sharp. In advance, with students, I don't know what level you're going to be teaching, but you'll want to probably cover this or have at least a poster with the different names of the notes. And they'll quickly pick this up. My students, I have 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and the kids that don't have any background in music at all pick these names up really fast because it's very logical. So anyway, our first note is a every good boy, B. So we're going to start with a B. And it's a quarter note. So I'm going to go tone, B. I'm going to make this octave 1, and I'll explain why later. And I'm going to go to rhythm and put in my quarter note for the length of that note. And then just for fun, I'm going to check that out and see if it actually works okay. And here we go. Good. Sounds right. Now, if I look at my music, it's got 2 of those in a row. So you could use a repeat, but for 2, I don't think it totally makes sense. So I'm going to use a cool function. You can right-click on the note on this block for the code and say duplicate, and it will automatically make a copy of just that one note. So now if I hear 2 of them, great. All right, and our next note is BB FAC, FAC, so it's a C. And because we're going up, we're going to need to change this to another octave. So we're going to go to octave 2. And let's hear that. So far, so good. And it goes to Every Good Boy Does, D. D. And I believe that's our first measure. Let's hear it. That's great. I'm a stickler in my class for teaching students to use documentation in their code. And so under control, you can add comments. So I like, especially when programs can get complicated, when they get longer, and this can be such a valuable tool when you're trying to troubleshoot something. So I'm just going to say measure 1, and a measure, of course, as everyone knows, or most people know, is this first line to line. So there's measure 1, measure 2, measure 3, measure 4. So I use that as part of my documentation and showing them how to do that. I'm going to copy that and go on for measure 2. Hey, there we go. And you can duplicate all yours blocks. So like now we have measure 3 already. Of course, the notes aren't right, but boy, it's being naughty today, letting me select. All right, so measure 2, there's measure 3, and now we just need the notes. So the first note in measure 2 is another Every Good Boy Does, D. And it's octave 2. And FAC, C. And then I'm going to Every Good Boy, B. And we're going to go back down an octave. And then FAA. Octave 1. And let's listen to our first 2 measures. It's a great start. All right, let's go to measure 3. So it's Every Good, so G, G. G, G, A, and let's go find our next one. A, B. Oops, I accidentally clicked on it. And you can see it's highlighted because it was running there. I accidentally double clicked on it, so, and it finished off with a B. That should be our first 3 measures. Let's hear it fully now. It's good so far. Okay. And our last 2 measures, or last measure, measure 4. So this is a dotted quarter note. I believe is the way you'd say that. And so this is worth the 1 beat and a half. So this is a 16th, so it's worth a quarter plus a 16th. So this one specific note. So the way I do that, and I don't know what level you're teaching at, but it could be a little bit of a difficult discussion, but it's essentially, you could say, well, it's a quarter note plus a 16th note. That's how much time that note needs. So you could talk at this point about operators and doing some math. So you could say, okay, well, here's my quarter note plus a 16th. And now I've got my dotted quarter note. Let's add our comment first. 4. And actually, it's a B anyway, so let's just go there. B. And get rid of this one. To get rid of notes or blocks, you can just drag it over into this area and it gets rid of it. There we go. And that would be a dotted quarter note. And a 16th. An A. I'm just going to grab one here. But I will have to get rid of my quarter and go to my 16th. And then let's see what I need. I believe it's another A, but a half note. Another A, but instead of a 16th, we're going to go with a half note. All right, that should be our first line. Let's check it out. That's fun. You can play with the time signature as well. If you want to make it sound kind of somber, you can go down to 80 beats per minute and it'll sound really slow. Here we go. Let's stop that one. And let's go up to ridiculously fast, maybe 200 beats per minute. I've never messed with the upper limit, so let's see what 300 beats per minute sounds like. So video game levels. Anyway, kind of fun to play with. Now, you could introduce from here with students, you could add something called a function block or a my block. And this is handy to, again, make your code simpler. So if you wanted to make a command block to say, I'm going to just play line 1, you could go line 1. And what this does is it lets you define in kind of a abstract way line 1. And then in your main program, so this is almost like a subroutine here, you're going to play line 1, it'll go out and do line 1, and then you could add line 2, line 3, and it simplifies your code and keeps it very organized, almost like folders and in Windows. And so I'm going to hide this definition block by right-clicking on it, and now all the kids see is this little button here, and it still works. You could also introduce if statements here. Maybe you want to make it a prank so that when a teacher walks in a room and the lights turn on, it plays Ode to Joy, which would be a kind of funny prank for a teacher to walk into the room and hear Ode to Joy when they walk in. So you could use an if statement. You could use something like a wait until, which makes a lot of sense in this example because you're basically hiding in a room waiting for the music to get or the light to be above a certain level when, and then turn on the music. So you could do that, introduce lots of cool things. So, operator say, oh, if the music level, the light level, under light would be under Databot here, and Databot light level here. You can kind of get an idea of how much light is in the room currently. So right now I'm reading at 1026, and I assume that's some kind of either resistance level or lumens. I don't know what it's measured in, but if I cover up that Databot and click on it again, oops, now you can see my hand is darkening the room or darkening the Databot, and it's at 21. So maybe a good trigger point's 200. I don't know. We'll go for that. So if the Databot's light level is above 200, not 2,400, 2004, So what this is going to do is it's going to wait until this light level is bright enough or above 200. So before I start the program, I'm going to put my hand on this. I'm going to start the program. And then now it's sitting there and waiting. It's laying in wait. And then as soon as the teacher walks in the room, oh, joy is played. Anyway, this is a great way to introduce different aspects of programming and making it fun at the same time. So I hope this helped. I'll continue making these videos and hopefully people enjoy them. So let me know in the comments if you'd like it or if you'd like something specific for me to demonstrate. Anyway, thanks for coming to my channel and I hope you have a great day.